The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Ladies' Room, Morris Media Live. I'm Brenda. Good morning. I hope everyone is having a fantastic week. Today is Friday, and it's looking pretty good. Hi. Well, I want to start off the morning with my affirmation today, and it's by an unknown author. But I thought it was really, really interesting, just the words. It says, attract what you expect. Reflect what you desire. Become what you respect. And mirror what you admire. So I like that. Attract what you expect. If you expect, certain things out of this life, then you attract that. Make that be a part of your circle. If you can't enhance the circle that you're already in, then you need to create a new one. Because one of the things of having people around you is for the inspiration, and we all should be working on changing our lives and becoming better people. And if we're still doing the same old things with the same old people, then we need to take responsibility and not fault anybody. And it's not saying that anyone is better than anyone or anything. It's just that you have to recognize that change is necessary in all of us. In everything that we do, we need to become better. It says, reflect what you desire. Wow. So whatever you desire, you're looking at, you have to just see it. When I see somebody or I meet anybody for the first time, the very first thing that I do is I find the best attribute that I can about that individual, and I focus on that. Because whatever I see good in them, I believe that that's a reflection of the good that lives inside of me. And I need to make sure that I spread that. And so I look for the best because I really want to be the best, and I want people to see the best. Not that I care what people think. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if I am putting out the best or I'm seeing the best in someone, I would like for them to see the best in me. And when I do see the best in them, as I said, that's a reflection of what's in me. And become what you respect. We have to figure out what do we respect in 2019. Because, the game is the same. The players are the same. The rules are just a little bit more forward. I don't think there's anything new. But I think the way that things are being displayed in 2019 is different. But the same things has been going on and on and on. So if we want to change what we see that we don't like in 2019, then we have to respect ourselves more. Respect our situation, respect the people around us. Respect comes on so many different levels. But it does say, become what you respect. So that's all about improving and becoming better so that you're respected. Respect, become what you respect. So let's just become a big old bag of respect around here, which means respecting others' thought patterns, others, what they believe. And it said, mirror what you admire. Just be what you admire. The only way they can have a big brother, a big sister, or all these different mentors is that you're admiring this person and you want to be like them. So then you become one of those people that someone would admire about you. I'm sorry. So we have to just know that we have to be better. And it's all back to the same thing. Just trying to be the best people that we can be. And if each one of us try, each one of us can teach something positive or do something positive or touch a life, change a life in a positive manner, then I think that we're becoming better people. And that's something that we have to recognize that's necessary. We can all look at a situation and complain. I mean, that's easy. And we do it really well. But I had 3 incidents this week of different scenarios that happened. And my question to each person in each scenario was just simply, what is the solution? We have a problem or a situation. Now, how do we resolve it? How do we resolve it? And that's important, the resolution. And everybody in each situation I documented continued to talk about the problem. And the whole time I was saying, excuse me, well, what do you think could happen? And one of the incidents happened on Slauson and Crenshaw. It was at the barbershop by the Marathon store. So, I do a lot of my farming for my real estate. A lot of the show is here on Crenshaw, so I'm on this side of town a lot. So I stopped over to the barbershop because one of the guys was interested in purchasing some units. So I went over to discuss it with them. Of course, I had to go to the ladies' room. He said, of course, you can go use the ladies' room. So then another lady came in after me who was outside taking pictures of the situation, and she asked to use the bathroom. So one of the guys said, well, normally, we really don't let the public use the bathroom, but since so much activity is over there, they are allowing people to use the bathroom. It's not a public bathroom, though. So when she came out, she said, well, there was hardly any tissue in the bathroom. And she got into a conversation with one of the barbers about the tissue. And it just was going back and forth. Well, he said, well, normally if it's enough tissue for the clients who come in and pay and for the people who actually work here, but since we've been having so much traffic, it, utilizes more tissue. Seemed like a little petty situation, in which it really is. But as I was standing there listening to the situation and the lady talking back and forth, and she said, well, what if I was a client? He said, okay, if you're a client, there was tissue in there for you to use it. But as I said before, he kept repeating the fact that so many people are coming in because of, what's going on. And so then I just stood there as long as I could, and then I intervened. And I said, well, excuse me, miss, my name is Brenda, blah, blah, this. I'm listening to the conversation. But can you tell me what would be a solution? What would be a solution? There's no tissue, or there's barely any tissue in the bathroom. They're opening the doors to the public. What would be a solution? For them to buy more tissue? I said, well, why don't you and I pitch in and go get tissue? And then that way, it'll be tissue here for the next person that comes in, and it'll replace the tissue that was already used for the people who are actually being serviced there and who actually work there. She instantly got irritated. Instantly. I mean, to the point where I had to say, okay, let me redirect the situation, because she was getting upset. But at the same time, I felt like, okay, you want to stand here and complain about it, but you don't want to do anything about it. Just like if the bathroom was available to you to use and you felt that there was no tissue in there, the solution would be, let's go purchase some tissue. Not just you go get it. We go get it together. I'll put in on it, and it'll be tissue there for the next person that they allow to use the bathroom that's not doing business there. I thought that was the solution. But she went ham. She was like, no, I'm not spending money. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, it doesn't matter what you're speaking about. What is the solution? It's just funny how we just want to complain all the time and really do not want to do anything about it, or don't want to be the one to take the responsibility to do something about it. I'm willing to say, let's go get the tissue. Let's go over to Ralph's and purchase some tissue and make sure that there's here, because what they're doing is a nice thing for people that they don't have to do that for. But, that's just a little scenario on how we have to think outside the box. We have to get better. Just a small thing like that. It just, was on my mind this week. Like, wow, She didn't go in her purse and get money to go in on tissue. That was the final analysis with her. I was like, oh my God. But of course, I went over to Ralph's and got tissue because I felt that it was important for somebody else to be able to, to help out that situation because they are doing things for people that are not doing business there. We just have to get better. That's my point. We have to get better at what we do, how we think, and how we process things, and coming up with the answer when there is a problem, which we all do because we answer our situations on a day-to-day. We're moving through this life, handling it, which means we are, dealing with each thing that is as it arises in our life. But I think it just needs to be on a broader scale, and we need to be a little bit more considerate of others. We need to be more considerate of others, and that's my point. The consideration level that we need to have for each other is imperative that we get better with it. And it's not everybody. If you're that considerate individual that will look out for others and that will help out, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person that might not even know that they're a little bit selfish, but it should be put in your mind not to be selfish. And there was just a lot of interesting things happening. And I ran across a story that was really overwhelming and very, very surprising to me. It was a young lady. Her mom named her Marijuana Pepsi. That's her name. Her government name, Marijuana Pepsi. She received her PhD, and she did her dissertation on African American names and how the names are received in our society. And I thought it was quite interesting that she spoke on, or she wrote on, the difference in a name. If we want to say we want to name our children traditional names, I have a traditional name, Brenda, but my youngest daughter, her name is Khadijah. It made me reflect on the process of naming your child. Because her whole point was that if you give your child African American name, how is that received in our society? And she had a great paper because she was basically being able to talk about herself. Not that Marijuana Pepsi is an African American name, but it is a different name. And she had problems growing up, being teased, everything, even from college to her, job in the workforce. So that's what created the paper. She said that our society is, which we all know there's injustice. This is just another form of it. She did the research, and they had, I believe it was 16 different, they went to 16 different websites, did resumes, used African American names, and then used those names, but maybe if the name might have been maybe, let's say, Latricia, they may have changed the name to Trisha, or, a more standard name. But they did the comparison between Lakeisha, Brenda, Lauren, just all the different African American names against the regular norm white names. All the names that were transformed into what they called it whitening the name up, that they changed the name, their resumes were looked at. A greater percentage than those Lakeishas, the Lanika, Laquita, they didn't get looked at. Had the same qualifications, had everything identical, but just based on a name alone, they tossed the Keishas, the Tamikos, all the names that was not normally Americanized. And that's interesting because now here that is affecting the job force, your ability to really get a good job now is based on a name, not your qualifications. Something is wrong, seriously wrong. It's the same stuff we've been going through for many years. But in 2019, we really do need to address some of these issues. It is really unbelievable that here's a person that went to college, did play by the rules, did everything that was. You don't get a PhD by not playing by the rules, by not doing what you're supposed to. I mean, different forms, different ways. Some people do it online, some people go to the colleges. It doesn't matter. You still did the work. You still paid the bills. And now to complete your education and not be employed fairly because of your name, that's unbelievable to me. But I wanted to talk on another subject that's related to this that just came to mind to me. When I sent my children to college, one of the things I really, really asked them to do is to take the information that you get from these universities that we have to pay for, you're in debt about, and apply it to becoming your own boss. There is nothing that says that once you complete your education that you cannot create your own situation, and I believe that's the purpose of it. So in this story, my point is simply that we have to stop looking to the system to employ our Keishas, Lanikas, Laquanas. Don't look for the system to employ you. You go to school, get your education to create a job, and you can do that coming out of college. If they can give you loans to pay to get in debt with them, maybe you need to take that money and redirect it. And have a plan that when I do come out of college as Laquika, or whatever the name is, then I'm opening up my own company. We don't need to go to them for jobs. We need to stop. We need to create our own situations. And I know it may sound easier, just saying it than doing it, but anything is achievable. And you can do anything. Whoever the employer that you're going to go and get the job from, they started somewhere to own that company. So we have to own our own companies. And we have to create employment for our own people. And until we do that, we are going to be faced with being turned down, injustice in the workforce because of a name. And I remember when I first got my job, straight out of high school, I worked at Hughes Aircraft. The testing site for that job was not on the premises. So we tested at a facility. They called me and said, "Oh, you did really well, and we really want to do a verbal. We want to interview you, and your scores were really good." And I was like super excited. I was young, naive, and not informed at this point. So as I tell this story, this is what happened. So I'm like, okay, that sounds awesome. You have an interview, your first interview. We would like for you to come in. I'm young. I'm right out of high school, 18. And I go in and Hughes Aircraft to the actual facility to meet the people that I had for the position that I applied for. So upon my arrival, and I was so naive, didn't even have a clue that it was some little injustice going on at this very moment when I was 18 years old. They said, "Well, we would like for you to take the test over." And me being very young, I was like, okay, no problem. So they retested me right there at the facility on the spot. And I never thought for once that they were retesting me because I was black. But after, later on in life, I realized that they retested me because I was black. But I was glad they did because I did better there at the facility than I did at the testing room. So I was solid, and I had a really good job as administrative assistant for the directors at Hughes Aircraft when I was 18 years old. But the look on their faces when I walked in, I'm so excited. I don't know it's a good job. I don't know it's a lot of money. I'm just, went for a job interview, and this is the results. But at the same time, they retested me because I was black. When they walked in there, they said, no, this black girl did not get this high, score this high on the written test. But the other test was typing, like I think I did 90 words a minute. I took shorthand at 120. And I just wiped out everybody that was any of the competition. And they were really surprised. But it is injustice in the workforce. And the people that represent our employers, the unions and all those things, I appreciate them. I know they're doing their job. But I think one of the first steps to us really making a difference in this society is to create our own jobs. It doesn't necessarily have to be one person. The person that went to school that has the information, you can group up with other people. But we need to start figuring out how we can take care of ourselves, where we don't have to deal with so much injustice. That is not going anywhere because that's a mentality, that's a mindset, that's a belief. When someone believes that they're better than someone else, that's embedded. Whether it's a learned lesson, whether it's in their DNA, however they feel that way. We cannot change the way that people feel about us as a people. But what we can do is change the way that we deal with each other and how we move in this society as a people. And until we start pulling our resources together, whether that be our minds, our money, our time, our ideals, our concepts, and working on one accord without our religious beliefs, because that's another way that they divide us. I'm a Jehovah Witness. I can't go into a Christian facility. I'm a Christian. I don't want to go into a Jehovah. Whatever it is. I'm a Muslim. Whatever we are. We need to work beyond. We need to take that out the equation. Personal, private belief. Not saying right or wrong. Not saying not to believe it. I'm just saying that we need to get together, but we need to take that out. Unless we're just talking about the one God and without no name of anybody tagging to it, if you want to talk about that. But I think we need to be on a more business perspective, have a more business attitude with each other. And religion is another way of division. We need to get better. We need to do more with each other, for each other, and by each other. And stop running to the system for assistance or to employ us or to do whatever we're looking for them to do. I was reading an article about Central Avenue. And I was so proud reading that article because it talked about our businesses. We had hospitals, gas stations, grocery stores, everything that a society needs to function and move, we had for our own people and ourselves. We've lost a lot of ground and we're losing ground rapidly. And it's because of our mentality. They did a real good job on us mentally. But we need to correct it. And it just all starts with one person, with someone. It takes me to Nip. What I want to have a section called Nibs Corner. Because, it's just still so much stuff coming out. Still so many videos, interviews, and just so much with this brother. And he was on the right path. He understood what was needed. And he moved on it. He touched everybody. He left the same spirit with everyone. But he touched so many people to achieve so much in such a short time. And we need to continue this marathon. Not the money, but the progression of black people. I would like to speak a little bit on, I did listen to Charlemagne, and he was talking about the Black Wall Street, a new Black Wall Street. That type of mentality, I love to be around. I have a girlfriend that I do real estate with. I'll shout out to Tamiko. And she came to me and she said, Brand, there's this new group that's forming that is buying property all over the United States. And she was a little skeptical, I believe, at first. But they started off with one unit in, I think it was Buffalo, New York. one unit, and I think this was less than a year ago. They're at 17 units now. The little group is getting bigger, and they're putting their money together, trusting each other. Trusting each other. Trusting each other. Yes, 3 times, because that's one of the things we need to do, is to be able to trust each other. Now, you know, if a person is super shady, then okay, they have to go into the shade room for real. But there are really good people out here that we can network, get together, and do things. And I thought, wow, that's really deep. Why can't we do that in LA? A little bit more expensive, of course. But they started off with 1 apartment unit in Buffalo, New York. Now they're in Buffalo and Chicago. And they went out there, renovated the apartments, and refurbished them. And then they're all leased out. When she said Chicago to me, my first instinct, and I have to be truthful, was Chicago. They're getting, it's killings everywhere in Chicago, because that's what I've read. And I had a couple of friends that, said a few things about it. But in reality, that's a fear. And we can't move in fear. So I dismissed that mentality and said, you know what, let's take a trip. Let's go down there. Let's go see. Because we have to think outside the box. And we might not be able to do particular things individually, one by one, but we need to start grouping up with people that you trust and start looking at this life thing a little bit different. Because you have to remember, it's only a short period that we're here. So it's about when we leave here. It's about the next group of us, our youth coming up. They need to see differently. And as I was down there, I'm back and forth, you guys, but so many thoughts running through your mind, and you want to say so much, and there's just so many things to speak on. So, it's kind of difficult to just stay on track with this one concept, one ideal for me, because my mind is constantly going. But I want to flip back to when I was down at the Crenshaw and Slauson area. 2 young ladies were walking by, 2 girls, real young. Stopped. They were engaged in a conversation, and I wanted to scream. I literally wanted to scream. 2 girls, probably about maybe 14, 15. The conversation was ridiculous. We have to do better, and we have to help our youth. And part of us building and growing right now is to show them that they can, and that they can step into something that can represent them and make them feel good about themselves. I'm into real estate, and it just really bothers me when an acre of land in Beverly Hills is way more than an acre of land in Watts. Because at the end of the day, an acre is an acre. But because of a mentality that they have about African American people, black people, and our neighborhoods, they reduce the price. Do I blame them? A little bit. But there's another part of that we as black people, African American people, and Spanish people, we need to take control of our own neighborhoods. One house at a time. Everybody may not have the money, it's from paycheck to paycheck. It could be all type of reasons why, but we at least need to be cautious of some things. The value of your property depends on the maintenance of it, which means each neighbor in each neighborhood should be responsible for making sure that they maintain their neighborhood at a level where they could get top dollar for it, whether you are a renter or owner. If you are an owner and you're renting to people, it is a responsibility for that unit, that home, whatever it is, to be maintained at a certain level, period. We want everybody to do everything for us. But we each need to step outside our doors and look at our own space and our own place. You can't get top dollar for stuff that's not in top dollar condition. And the difference is that most Europeans, Caucasians, they keep their neighborhood spick and span. They're not letting trash get on the streets. There's not a chicken shack on every corner because they're at the committee meeting saying, no, we're not allowing this. No, we don't want that here. We don't want a liquor store. We'll go to Vons and buy our liquor in bulk. We don't want a chicken shack, a taco shack, and all these unhealthy eateries around our children. So we need to get to the planning committees of each city, figure out what's going on, and then move from there. The reason why the people were able to triple their rent in Inglewood because the stadium was coming, because so they knew it was coming. But if we don't step out, go to the planning committees, create our own planning committees, that's what I really, really, really would like to push. We need to create our own planning committees. What do you want to do for your community? What are you willing to do? You want to complain, talk crap? We want to see, the trash. No, if the city's responsible to get the trash up, somebody in your neighborhood their job needs to be on the city about getting the trash up. Another person their job needs to be sending emails to everybody in the community. You need to cut your grass. If you can't afford it, let's get a community pot and we all put in, so we can help. Whatever we need to do to get our communities up to par where they need to be valued. And once our children start seeing our communities looking better, they'll feel better. They'll move better. I know it's a big general situation, but it has to start somewhere. And if I can just provoke thought in one person's mind, that's really good, because it's on my mind. We need to do better as a people all the way around. We want respect. We want to stop being treated a particular way, but yet we still live a certain way. There should be no trash nowhere, from Watts to Beverly Hills. Clean living all the way across the board. It's not okay. And we don't have to play into a stereotype. We need to raise the bar. We need to raise the bar with ourselves, individually, one house at a time. Because you're in that community where no one's watering the grass, no one's trimming it, it's trash everywhere. No. Unacceptable. It should be unacceptable to each adult in every household, in every community. You live in an apartment building, everybody in that apartment building needs to be participating and making sure that building maintains itself and the area. Even though you pay your rent, you could have a slumlord, all that. We can have 150 million excuses why we can't do A, B, and C. That's our deal. It's not my responsibility. I pay my rent. I don't care anywhere I've ever lived, ever rented. I make sure I maintain that property as if I owned it. Because what does it do? It represents me. Just saying. Okay, now I'm going to get to the tough stuff. Wow. Okay, so we have this police brutality thing going on constantly, nonstop. They're killing, they're shooting, they're beating, they're doing whatever they want to do to us. 2019, we have video. We're seeing it. We need to ask ourselves, what can we do? What are our options? How do we stop this madness? These police have to be accountable. They have to stop it. I read an article where a young man was at a music studio, left the studio, went to a drive-in Taco Bell. Maybe the line was too long, but he fell asleep. Now, what I said last week about getting the facts, it's important that we hear both sides of the story, because we have to work on the preventive measurements. There are some really bad officers out there, racist. It just is what it is. It's too many videos to sit here and act like, oh, they're just, doing their job. No, you are going beyond that. You are just excessive with everything, and especially when it comes to blacks, they're dying by the dozens. It's like they have a plan to eradicate us. A secret club within the police officers. Now, not all police are horrible and bad, please. But there's so many of them that they're really not making room for the good ones. These officers pulled up on this guy. The people from Taco Bell called in and said, there's a guy that's unconscious in the car. So my first thing is send a rescue squad, send someone that can, first find out if he's alive, see what's going on, de-escalate the situation, But what actually happened was they rolled up on the guy, and he did have a gun in the car, according to what they said. Now, they didn't show on the body cam the gun. They didn't show it. I didn't see it. But they were saying there's a gun in the car. He has a gun. But they also said he's asleep. So if he wakes up and grabs for the gun, then we're going to... Okay, well, right then and there, what is police protocol? We're going to de-escalate this situation. We're not going to shoot this dude. Let's get some heavy tasers. If he reached for this gun, we're going to tase the crap out of him. They shot this brother like 55 times. That's madness. That's crazy. And this was in California, in Vallejo. We no longer can sit back here and just complain about this stuff. We have to take some form of action. You know, it's out of control. And they're out of control. And we can turn our heads, just like in a relationship, you know it's bad, but you turn your head, you see red flags, you see things, and you won't pay attention to those things unless it happens to your child. Then it's time to get involved. But we need to stop it before it happens to one of our children. Because the last time I checked, I'm African American. My sons are African American. Am I worried every time my son got to go to class? Every time he have to move in that vehicle? Yes, I'm worried. Yes, I'm praying. Because he is black. A simple traffic stop in 2019 turns into murder, and they have all kind of justification, all type of ways that they can say this happened, that happened, just like they shot that dude. I didn't see the gun. If he had a gun in that car, the body cam should have zoomed in on it so that can be clarified on their end that there is a gun there. And then if you don't know how to handle the situation with a gun being on a sleeping passenger's lap or in their vehicle, call someone who's trained to do that. But just to continue to kill our boys, our men, this is ridiculous. And I'm starting to believe that, you know what, it's something bigger going on than what we just random shootings. Because of the internet, we're able to see it across America. And until we pull ourselves together and stop with all this foolishness and understand what is really going on, this is what we're living with. But someone has to be accountable and have to take responsibility. There was another shooting of a gentleman. Well, he didn't get shot, but he was pulled over. I think I can't even remember where this would happen at, but I read this as well. The brother was pulled over out the vehicle with his hands up, both hands, and he's saying, "My hands are up. I'm up. Okay, okay." The officer was so angry. Now, I don't know if it was a chase. I don't know what happened, but I know at the stop, this is what was shown. And it doesn't even matter if it was a chase or anything happened. The officers need to conduct themselves as officers who are here to protect and serve, not to kill, not to beat, not to dehumanize an individual. Do your job. The officer went straight over to the young man and he was a buffed officer. And this guy was little and frail. He went over there and punched him with all his might. With his hands up, not giving any type of resistance. Then they got him out of the vehicle. Another officer went over there. Now he's cuffed. He's down. And started stumping him in the head. Excessive force. Both of those officers were immediately fired because it was just cut. There was no way you could get around it. Even their own boss said that was just ridiculous. And their boss was a white man. But we need to start holding these officers accountable. They need to start paying their dues. They need to really recognize that you can't just walk through the streets, pull somebody over, shoot, kill them, or beat them for no apparent reason. And that's why I said for us as people, we need to recognize preventive measurements. They're going to do what they do, but we need to try to figure out how to get this stuff under control. We have a voice. We have a voice. And we need to really pull ourselves together and utilize our voice from community to community, from state to state. And we need to come together and stop this madness. We have grandchildren that are coming up, and it's only getting worse. Now, that is the very first time, I'm not saying it hasn't happened before, but this was the very first article that I read where the officers were fired immediately. Fired, gone, you lost your job. That was it. They will make excuses. It's a good old boys club. They will figure out, change reports. I witnessed it. I witnessed report changing. I witnessed officers lying on stage. I mean, in the courtroom. And it has to stop. Our police department needs to be accountable. And each of us in each neighborhood, with each precinct, we all need to be down there. They need to restructure the books. They need to restructure the rules. They need to retrain these police officers. And they need to be psychologically tested. Because if you come in a job where you have the authority to kill and you just kill, it's something wrong. But until we pull ourselves together as a real community and stop faking it, yeah, we all, live, a lot of fakeness going on to me. We're so fake until we now believe it. Whatever it is, we believe the fakeness. If we want to say the officers are unjust, they're not doing what they're supposed to do, community to community, stand up. I'm not saying riot, tear up our own stuff. We already did that. No, we're not tearing up nothing. We want to build our areas up from Spanish to Black. But we all need to stand up as one and make them become accountable for all these murders. We need to tally up how many Black people were killed in your community from January to right now. And we need to take that on down to wherever it needs to go. We need to first get together, sit down, have our own situation. What are the rules? What's happening? Come up with a plan. But we need to address this murder by cops that's just going on rampantly across the United States, and it's okay. I don't care what the situation was with the little brother in Taco Bell. Get somebody out there to defuse that situation. We need to do better than what we're doing. We need to stop complaining about stuff and start taking some action, and not the same action that we've taken for many, many years. How can they tell us how to stop poverty in our own community? We can stop our own poverty if we sit down, put our minds together, and come up with a plan. I don't care if you live in an apartment. Get a pot. Grow you some peas. But we can do this. We have the questions. We have the answers. We're quick to argue. We're quick to fuss. We're quick to complain. Take all that and flip it and be quick to come up with some ideas and some concepts like NIP to change our area, change our environment, change our children, change our lives. So we want to blame everybody, but we need to start first pointing the finger at ourselves. I need to point the finger at myself. What am I doing? You need to point the finger at yourself. What are you doing individually? Oh, we all discussing the murders. We all discussing the shootings. We all discussing what's not happening positive in our neighborhood. But what are we doing? We got homeless people with baskets and stuff. We got our tents and stuff coming up in our hoods. There's empty apartment buildings. We need to get together, buy and house them. Try to figure out how to get them matriculated back into society. And those that can't, set up our own mental institutions. Looking for the state to set up a mental institution when Ronald Reagan closed down all of them and put these people on the streets? No, we have doctors. What are we all going to school for? So we're going to go out of school and go work for somebody else? No, go out of school. Let's get our own thing going on around here. We need to go to the colleges and the students that's coming out that's dealing with mental health. Let's talk to them about opening up a mental health facility. If they don't have the money, then let's put the money together, get it, and get these people off the streets. Get some real serious help. Let's buy some units up in just each area and get the homeless up off the street. We can figure out our own problems. But they have us so mentally trained until we got to look to them to help us. We know what the government is. And we're putting our trust in people who have no love for us. And then we turn around and don't even have enough love for ourselves to really come up with solutions and make a difference. We need to stop it. Everybody needs to really check themselves. Because I'm a little fed up with it personally. So I need to figure out, what can I do more? Women, black women, we're some of the most powerful creatures on the planet Earth. We have so much to offer, so much to give. We all need to sit down around a round table and figure out our community situation. Block by block. And shut the system down from saying what's going to happen for us, what's going to happen with us, what you're going to do for us. I'm sure just like the little man out there in Michigan, Jewel Jones, the youngest man in the House of Representatives, he's coming in there on fire like so many others have. But what we need to do is rally around any of our young politicians. Yeah, we can listen to what resources are available. We can listen to what they have to say, but we need to come to them with what we want and what we think should happen and how we could prevent poverty, because we can. The government is just a system. It's just a building. It's just people. And just like we're just people. But they know better what's better for us than what we know. We didn't go to the planning community. Now we have a train going down Crenshaw. Why? To accommodate who? It's dividing Crenshaw, east and west. No, we need to go door to door, block by block for each community, whatever your community. I live in Athens. Okay, everybody in Athens community needs to be working on how to improve their community, house by house, door by door, block by block. And then when we want to go sit down and talk to whoever's running that district, this is what we came up with and this is what we want to act. And we don't need you to do it. We're just telling you, maybe, possibly. But okay, enough of all that for this morning. Put myself on one with that. But, it's so disgusting that we're so smart and we're so brilliant and we have something to say about each other, like, man, quick to rip off each other's heads, quick to tear each other down. Stop doing all that. Spend this energy on doing something more positive. Okay, I'm going to move in because I am having a real estate workshop next weekend, and it is about giving out information for first-time buyers. It's about the whole buying process, period. Because I believe that if we understand what the process is, it's not as scary as you think. It's not as difficult as you think it is. But it's just understanding what your position is and what you can do. And once you do that and have the knowledge on what you really can do, you will do better. We can do more. I heard someone tell me, I can't buy. I don't have the credit. I don't have this and that. And I suggested to that person, I said, can you come into my office and give me 15 minutes and let's sit down and go over several different scenarios so I can show you what your possibilities are. Because there is always a possibility. I think it was on the Jay-Z 444. He said, you want to know why the Jews run everything? Because they're buying everything. And we're running around here with complaints and not understanding that we have power. What do we spend 1.7 trillion a year going out? What's Nibs say? All money in. We keep putting our money out. We run into their stores. We run into their shops. We keep building them up. We keep making them richer and we're getting poorer. No, we need to stop community by community. Spend your money with your own people. I know it's difficult. Sometimes you get the worst service. And if you go into a black establishment and you don't get the appropriate service, pull that manager to the side and have a sidebar conversation. Do I need to come up here and give training? Do I need to send someone up here that can train your people how to handle people? But we all need to take responsibility and start doing better. Back to the workshop. But it is about the first-time buyers. It's about the down payment assistance programs. They have programs that will help you with your down payment and your closing costs. But if you don't come and get information, then you left out the loop. My daughter asked me, Mom, do you know what your rights are? If you don't know what your rights are, you don't have any. You don't have any. When the police pull you over, you don't know what your rights are. That's why they do what they do. Because you don't know the law. You don't know what your rights are. If you don't know what what our real purchasing power really is, 1.7 trillion, and where is the black community? Where's the money going? We in every nail shop, they speaking foreign language. No, if I'm in here, you need to talk English, period. I don't care if it is your business. My daughter went to a nail shop and she had an appointment. She goes in there and she takes 2 other people. And so my daughter said, well, I have an appointment. And she got so feisty. Well, if you can't wait and you don't like it, then you could just get out. Oh, really? Oh, you that bold now? Let me see your green card. Everybody in here, are they legal? And matter of fact, let's get something and let's talk about what you just said and put that on some stuff outside your shop on the public sidewalk to let people know not to come here. But until we own our own shops, this is what we tolerate. So we have to understand the buying power that we have and how to utilize it. I've seen families, multiple people go on a loan to purchase one piece of property. We have African Americans, everybody, whole family paying rent all over the place. And we can't pull it together for one person, all of you guys to get on one piece of property until, you get situated enough to move out. I saw that literally happen in the 80s. Lived in Covina. One nationality sold the house. Another nationality bought it. They moved in 3 or 4 families. Next thing I know, they were buying every house that came available on that block. Because now you all are paying $2,000 hypothetically a month in rent. That's 4 people in the family. That's $8,000 going out in rent. Instead of, okay, let's take that AGs, let's buy one house. I know it's hard for us to get along, but we got to do better. And let's live in here because now we're not paying $8,000. We're not paying $2,000. Let's say we all paying $7,000. So that gives us a whole lot, the rest of that $2,000 to $1,300 to save. We have to think smarter. We have to think outside the box. We have to do better. And it starts with understanding what ownership means and what it is. So I am having a workshop on June the 29th, which is next Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 2:30. I'll have people there about credit. I'll have people to be able to talk to you about different programs that are available. If your credit is not good, how we can lift that credit score. What do we need to do? How can we clean that up? What's immediately can happen? Because as a realtor, they have a thing, I believe it's called escalator. They stick your credit in there and it pops up what can happen right then and there to raise it quickly. But you don't know that because you won't come and get the information. But it's going to be located at my real estate office, which is ACB Real Estate in Cerritos, California. And the address is 11060 Artesia Boulevard, Suite G in Cerritos, California, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it just come out and get information. I'm not trying to press you to buy anything that you can't afford. But what I want to show you how to do is that if you can't, let's prepare you. If you're not ready to buy today, then let's prepare you for next year or the year after. But whatever it takes, get the plan, preparation. Let's be prepared because it can happen. If you're giving your money out to a renter or a landlord, man, they're paying their children's college tuition. They're paying their bills and they're living off of you. We all have to live somewhere. But for us, we need to do better in the real estate market in purchasing and understanding what we can do. So you will learn the buying process because it is a process. And I will always go over every inch of the contract with my clients so that you understand what is happening. Because as the transaction starts, there is a thing called is of the essence, which you have so many days to do so many things. So I'm not going to just put you in a situation, okay, we got to do this, No, we're going to talk about it before it even happens. So that as it happens, you are prepared for it. the buying process. The programs, we don't use, we want to use the government assistance programs for, give us this, give us that. But they have a program, there's a lot of programs that you could use to purchase you a piece of property with as well. Down payment assistance programs, they have those. Help you with the down payment. Everybody uses them. So why not you? And as I spoke on improving your credit, we can do that. There will be lenders in the house, credit people in the house, information. Just, we're trying to do, I'll have another lady, because I was so concerned about the solar, people purchasing and using solar panels. The importance of it, the cost of it, what does it do for your life. So it is going to be going down next weekend. Home Buyer Workshop, June the 29th, 2019, Saturday, 11:30 a.m. To 2 p.m. at All California Brokerage Office at 11060 Artesia Boulevard, Suite G in Cerritos, California. I'm Brenda Bradford, and that's what I do. I'm a real estate agent. And even if you just want to talk to me and just figure out some things, but I think it's important, and I push hard for getting information on anything. Because the more information you have, the better decisions that you can make. And even if you're not ready to buy, just get the information so you can see how to. What do I need to do? Let's see what's going on. So I'm for that. I'm with that. I understand that. And that's what Nibs said. Ownership. The marathon continues. Ownership. Value yourself. Value your money. Where's your money going? What are you doing with it? And that not attacking everybody. There's some savvy people. I'm not saying that all of us are, not informed. Please don't misunderstand me. For those of you that are informed, can you share with others, please? Just in a general conversation, whatever. I met a young brother yesterday, I believe it was, and he is into stocks. So we're going to sit down and have a meeting about stocks so that we can be informed. We want to play the game, let's get in it. We need to play chess. 5 moves ahead. 5 moves ahead. We need to do better. We need to do better. Home buyership workshop. You need to come and check it out. A lot of information. A lot of information. Free information. How about that? Free information. Come and get it. People go to school for this. I went to school for this. I went to college for this. And I like to share it. Not only for my benefit, but for the benefit of everyone. All right, I'm going to sign out of here. It's been wonderful. I want to say thank you guys for listening. Thank you for just participating, all the hits and everything. I want to give shout out to everybody. I'm so grateful and appreciative. Thank you guys for listening. And stay tuned for next week. But Home Buyer Workshop is coming. And I'm Brenda Bradford. And I want to say, Nip, man, showed us some things. And even from the dead, he's still moving. And we need to respect that. Everybody have a wonderful, safe weekend. And I'm out.